resolution, which is as follows. Resolved. The benefits of the United States federal government use of offensive cyber operations outweigh the harms. Our first contention is collateral damage. Offensive cyber operations will cause a large amount of collateral damage to nations that the U.S. decides to attack. This is because the goal of offensive cyber operations is to project power through cyberspace. One of the ways the U.S. disrupts and destroys the computer systems of an adversary is by hacking and shutting down power grids. This has already been done by the U.S. Sanger and Paragraph 19 writes that the United States is stepping up digital incursions into Russia's electric power grid in a warning to President Vladimir Putin and a demonstration of how the Trump administration is using new authorities to deploy cyber tools more aggressively. Officials described the previously unreported deployment of American computer code inside Russia's grid. Since at least 2012, current and former officials say the United States has put reconnaissance probes into the control systems of the Russian electric grid. This means that the U.S. will continue to hack Russia's power grid because of how Russia hacks the U.S.'s power grids. The impacts of this are extremely severe. The shutting down of a power grid can lead to loss of life. This is because hospitals require power to operate machinery that keeps patients alive, as well as for surgeries and other procedures. A loss of power at a hospital will prevent these machines from working. This was shown in a Venezuelan power crisis. Dr. Julio Castro, who works at the Central University of Venezuela, stated in an NBC article that at least 46 people died in hospitals as a direct result of the first power outage. Also, ambulance teams require power in order to communicate with people in need of emergency service and to coordinate emergency teams. A blackout would prevent emergency services from being able to aid people. Without emergency ambulances, many would die, as is shown by an emergency ambulance team in India. The World Bank writes that with 108 ambulance services, there's one life saved every 30 minutes. One life every 30 minutes equates to approximately 48 deaths prevented per day. Without the emergency medical service, these people would die. Furthermore, Fox News finds that a successful shutting down of the U.S. power grids could ultimately kill more than 200 million Americans. Our second contention is cyber warfare. Offensive cyber operations are considered hostile and combative when one country hacks another. This will lead to increased tensions between the U.S. and whatever country they conduct offensive cyber operations against, because both nations are suspicious about attacks. Increased tensions between countries would ultimately lead to cyber war, as repeatedly conducting cyber operations would only increase tension until the war broke out. Lindsay 19 describes a hair-trigger world in which the most powerful cyber nations can unleash war on each other with lightning speed and with no advance warning. A massive attack on one nation's power grid might lead to a tic-tac attack on the electric grid of the other. As a result, the next generation might grow up under the constant risk of a cyber attack taking down the national energy grid, in the same way that the generation before lived with the constant risk of nuclear war. The impact of a cyber warfare would be devastating. The CEA writes that malicious cyber activity cost the U.S. economy between $57 billion and $109 billion in 2016. Cyber attacks against critical infrastructure sectors could be highly damaging to the U.S. economy. Furthermore, Strong 19 writes that the FBI has even warned that hackers are targeting nuclear facilities. A compromised nuclear facility could result in the discharge of radioactive material, chemicals, or even possibly a reactor meltdown. A cyber attack could cause an event similar to the incident in Chernobyl. That explosion, caused by an inadvertent error, resulted in 50 deaths and the evacuation of 120,000, and has left parts of the region uninhabitable for thousands of years into the future. Overall, the effects of a cyber war would cost a large amount of money as well as lives. Thus, we negate the resolution.
Okay, you guys ready for crossfire?
Yep.